Well, last fall and winter season saw an early wave of flu, high rates of RSV, and a lot of COVID cases, too.
So the question is, what are we in for this year? We're going to bring in Dr. Framer George. He is here to explain what we need to be concerned about, and we're taking a look over at Australia to see what they went through.
Exactly, Karen and Damon. So here's the deal. The flu season in Australia and the rest of the southern hemisphere typically starts in late April and runs during our summer. Now, while we don't always follow the same pattern, the flu season there can often be a pretty good hint of the strains that we can expect to see here. And this year, children in Australia have been particularly hard hit.
What do you think? Good job. Hey, sweetheart.
Sniffles, cough, fever, scratchy throats. From the common cold to stomach viruses, pediatrician Mark Brockman has seen it all in recent weeks.
We're starting to see more of the common things you see this year would be like RSV. We haven't seen very much flu, but it's coming.
Cases of strep throat are up too, but there's growing concern about flu. Experts are keeping a close eye on Australia, where an active flu season is just winding down. 2023 brought a well above average number of flu cases down under, and government numbers showed children were an especially vulnerable population. The highest rate of reported cases was in kids aged 5 through 9. The second highest group was newborn to 4 years. The third highest was 10 to 14. A whopping 72% of Australian patients hospitalized for flu were under the age of 16. 5% of them were admitted directly to the ICU. Now, while certain strains of flu can hit kids harder, experts believe one major factor behind the increase this year is lower vaccination rates. Like the U.S., Australia is suffering from vaccine fatigue and misinformation following the COVID pandemic. In 2020, nearly 45% of children in Australia aged 6 months to 5 years old were vaccinated against the flu. This year, that number was just 28%. For kids aged 5 to 15, 27% got a flu shot in 2020. Just 16% did this year.
Now, flu shots are safe and effective at reducing your risk of catching the flu and your risk of suffering serious symptoms if you do get the flu. And the best way to protect your kids and yourself from the flu is to get everyone in the family over 6 months of age vaccinated as soon as possible. Now, looking at the data, this year's vaccine is in fact expected to be a really good match for the strains that circulated in the southern hemisphere, which usually come here next.
All right, so perspective. Kids were hit harder in Australia, so does that mean like the adults were more in the clear, or how does that work?
Sort of, but not exactly. So here's the deal. Actually, the vaccine fatigue was actually less pronounced in Australian adults, but the flu, of course, is always concerning for seniors, pregnant women, and anyone with other major health problems. So while I think parents in the United States may need to pay extra attention to getting their kids vaccinated, no vaccine fatigue, we are still concerned about the vulnerable adult groups as well.
Good advice. Thanks, Doc.